What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Payne. Welcome back to another Omniheroes video. That's right, guys, going on about to the next tier list synergy team and unit, and that's going to be none other than probably the most unique and powerful, one of the at least powerful endgame synergies, and easily one of my favorites, to be honest with you, just because of their survivability, their tanks, their damage dealers. I would say probably the most balanced and dangerous synergies out there, and that is none other than the Avengers. Is anyone else besides me just say, when you say Avengers, you just think of Captain America saying Avengers Assemble? Anybody? Anybody else? Like, I feel like I need to have a couple of those guys here. Let me tell you guys right now. When I first started playing this game, I looked at pure burst damage, right? So Ethereals, Valiantors, and let me tell you, those two factions are easily two of the top end game factions, but there is nothing more exciting and unique for me personally than the Avengers. And we're going to go through each unit again, place them in this tier list in terms of where they belong in their synergies. Remember, everyone else on here is also part of their own synergies, and where they belong is based on their synergies and what they bring to the table. So remember that. If you have not seen my synergy rating tier list, go back to that and you can watch that as well too, to see which ones are the best beginning, middle, and end game synergies. Avengers actually reach the top of that ladder, and we'll explain why. And I think once you go through this, you guys will have a better understanding as well. So let's do what we normally do here real quick. Okay, we're going to go through some of these units real quick and get them out of the way. So Boji is going to be a D rank, Atalanta D rank, these two here. So pretty much they're beginner epic tank. Physical damage, does reflect on himself, does defense up on himself, really doesn't provide much utility outside of that for the initial synergy. And Atlanta is essentially the same thing, just a divine unit, and the only difference she brings to the table, she's a backline DPS, and whenever she kills somebody, I believe she does a basic attack. Really nothing special about either of these units. She does increase her own accuracy by 35% on her active, but again, you know how epics are. They're meant to be your food. So these two will stay here. Not even a C for either of them. In my opinion, they're both D units. But nonetheless, you have the option, of course, to fill up an Avengers team with your epics if you need it. And that's why they're sitting in this tier list anyways, because some of you are brand new and want to wonder how it works. All right, let's go next. Albert. Now, a lot of people kind of hate on Ghetto Gandalf. I call him Ghetto Gandalf because pretty much looks like Gandalf on Shadowfax to me. I'm sorry, that's what it is. Albert is Ghetto Gandalf, but he's actually a really important unit for this team. So he launches with his special, he launches magic damage at 405% to the backline enemies. That's kind of where he falls off with his ultimate, unfortunately, because he only does target backline rather than AoE everybody, and that's why there's a better mage on the Avengers squad than him. His active actually does all AoE damage to all units, so he does have that at least to help him out. But the more important part, and you need to get this really to make him shine and be an important part of this team, is his actual passive. So when Albert is deployed, the ally team increases skill damage by a whole lot, and that's 30%. So you have to unlock that passive to really see him shine. So because he's such a critical part of that damage dealing team here, he's going to get an A. The only reason why he's not higher is because his ultimate does backline damage rather than AoE. If he had AoE damage, he'd be an S easily for his ultimate, but because it's only backline, he does get that. But he is a pivotal part of this team, so don't neglect him. It's mostly his passive that really shines, okay? Next up, let's do Saline. So we'll go here. This is probably going to be the main non-demon angel DPS, okay? So this is what Albert should have done. So he actually, with his ultimate, Saline actually does 487%. So that's 82% higher than Albert's, but he does it to all enemies, and it's magic damage, okay? Now with his Frigid Icicle, which is his active, he does 160% to the front line, but that's not as bad. I'd rather have damage to the backline or front line and active, and the ultimate do more damage overall to AoE. So that's where he gets kind of the extra effect there. But when he is also receiving healing, he receives 2 stack of attack boost, and the limit of attack boost is increased by 20 for all allies. So he makes all your allies, normally stacks up to 5, but he increases it by 20. So when he's also deployed, the limit of heal bonus is also increased by an extra 5 stacks, meaning you're going to get healed a lot more, and also that will help you stay alive longer. These guys are all about sustainability, annoyance, revival, damage increases, and just picking you off with AoE. So because of that alone, he gets a pretty big boost. And also his second passive, Icy Assault, when he receives active healing, he also receives 2 stack of damage boost, which gives him an extra 5% per stack of damage. And the limit of damage boost also increases by 20 for all allies. So he brings double effects on his passives rather than just one. So for that, he definitely is an S to an SS. You know what? I'm going to put him in SS because I think he definitely deserves that. His 2 passes are wild. He gets an insane amount of damage out very quickly, and he also provides more heal rate and also gives himself attack up when he does get healed. So he's going to be your main non-demon angel DPS for this team for sure. Okay, let's move on to Solomon. This is going to be your main tank. That's not a demon and angel. There is one other tank on this team. We'll talk more about them. The beauty of Avengers is they balance each other really, really well. There is a class that's really good, that's non-demon and angel, and then like the same kind of class who's just a bit better on the other side. And that's not always the case being a bit better. Some of them are pretty equal, right? So Solomon, what makes him a unique tank? So first off, he has a lot of taunt. He has a 33% chance to taunt 4 random enemies. And what taunt does, if you don't know, is it's a control effect. So anyone who's control effect up on damage will get a bonus there. I don't think anybody here does, but just in case you mix and match teams. So Solomon's taunt actually restricts the opponents to only deal basic damage on him, and he's the only one taking that damage, so they can't do any actives or specials, giving you more time to deal out more damage. So 4 opponents get that. Now his active skill, Solomon uses the cross to strike enemies, dealing 84% damage to 2 random enemies, and has a chance to apply taunt on those 2 enemies as well at 33%. So another taunt ability. Now his passive, after Solomon deals damage, for every target he applies taunt to, he restores 5% HP. This man has so much freaking HP already as it is, and now he's also healing himself per taunt. So you guys can get a pretty big mass amount of heals going, especially when there's 4 units being taunted at the same time. He can get up to a 20% heal of his max HP. So very, very good tank to survive especially. All right, and then next up, his second passive, when Solomon receives an active heal, all allies are healed for 20% of this instance of healing. So if let's say you do 1,000, you get everybody gets 200 back for healing, especially only when he gets healed. So a great way to have somebody be an off healer as well as a tank at the same time. So Solomon is definitely getting himself an S as a tank. Fantastic tank, and you don't really need to get the demon angel version, but you'll see why she's SS versus Solomon. Okay, and lastly, before we go on to the demons and angels, let's talk about Persephone. So this is going to be the main healer for the team. Again, if you don't have angels and demons, right? So Persephone is unique in a sense that whenever she does a heal, she also increases her own attack. So essentially the way it heals is every time she provides healing, 135% of her own attack plus 5 to the max target, and grants fortitude. We'll talk about the attack part next. The fortitude to the target with the lowest HP. And what fortitude does is it protects the ally with a minimum of 1 HP, and this way they can't die. Okay, so it's just pretty much a oh shit button for an ally with the lowest HP, and the effect can't be dispelled, which is beautiful, right? So her active, though, she heals 3 allies with the lowest HP, providing healing equal to 75% of her own attack plus 5% of her target's max HP, and applies 2 stacks of heal rate boost. And heal rate boost increases healing by 5%, total of 5 stacks, but there are units obviously here that increase that up to 20, for example, Celine, right? All right, passive. When Persephone is deployed, the limit of healing boost stack is increased by 5. So there you go. Every 1% of her dodge increases her attack. And then her second passive is 1% of her dodge increases her attack. So right there alone is worthwhile having. Sorry, guys. I'm mistaken that it's not her that has the healing to attack. So my apologies on that. So as the main healer, you're probably going to get an S out of her. There is obviously a better unit for the group. That's why she's not an SS, and that's why Solomon's not an SS. So we're going to go to the Angels and Demons, and let's start off with her equivalent on that side, which is Lachesis. Okay, right there. What a broken unit. Okay, so let's talk about everything she does. So first off, she heals an ally with the lowest HP, providing healing equal to 300%, and then 5 of heal rate, and then 5% of the target's max HP, and has a 100% chance to dispel all buffs from all enemies. What an absolute nuisance. Like, imagine all your buffs just gone in an instant. So that's huge. She also, her active also does healing to all allies with 36% of heal rate plus 5% of the target's max HP. So you get your AoE heal there. And so I will say Persephone's a better healer in the ultimate section, but she doesn't have the removal of all buffs, which is crazy good. So in that case, let's just get the bonus, right? Because she also has the AoE healing, obviously, on the active. So her passive here, she applies heal rate to all allied teams, 4 stacks of it, as a matter of fact. It's called Battle Cry. So essentially that happens as soon as she joins the battle, so essentially right away. And then, of course, you get the heal rate, 4 stacks, so you get yourself 20% extra heal rate, making her healing and everyone else's healing just do a lot more. And then lastly, Light of Prayer. So this is her other passive. So every 1% of her dodge, she increases her attack. So very powerful unit. That strip of buffs gives her the SS status. Persephone is still the better healer, I would say, overall, because she has more of a pure healer kit. But that debuff, that buff dispel for all enemies at 100% is crazy good. So definitely going to take the SS spot there for healer. Also, because she's an angel or divine character, she's going to have an extra trait as well, right? So that gives them the edge as well too. All right, next up, Arcadina. Let's talk about Arcadina. So this is going to be Celine's pretty much counterpart here, right? But they both bring a lot to the table, so let's talk about both. Talk about her at least. Arcadina pretty much does AoE damage just like Celine does, dealing up to 450% to the enemies. So his is 480 something, so he does a little more damage. But what she does add to hers is she does 3 stacks of attack reduction on the target, reducing the attack by 5% for each stack on that target as well. So all targets actually that don't resist it. And then Chaos Orb, her active, she summons a Chaos Orb that applies 3 stacks of attack boost on the allied team. So you get 3 stacks, so that's 15% more attack for all units. So you can imagine how much more powerful she's going to hit, and Celine is going to hit as well too, right? Now, Bloodbath, which is her passive, when Arcadina is deployed, all allies who are attacked recover 10% of their max HP. This effect can be triggered only 2 times per round. So having someone like Solomon, he already recovers. You're going to give him even more recovery. So pretty crazy. And for those who don't get the taunt and they attack somebody else, again, 2 times attacked, you get 10% of your HP back, okay? So pretty crazy. And then Fatal Scales, which is her other passive, every 1% of Arcadina's dodge rate additionally increases her attack by 2%. So she gets an SS as well. As you can see here, these units are very powerful and are getting a lot of love for a reason. Okay, and then lastly, which I think is a one-woman army and absolutely one of the most unique kits I've ever seen in a game, that is Janna. So Janna is going to be your counterpart tank to Solomon, okay? So this is what makes her crazy. So Janna unleashes the Iron Throne, that's right, Game of Thrones, think about it all you want, to imprison enemies in Souls of Madness, dealing up to 378 damage, magic damage to all enemies. So right away, she's doing way more damage than most tanks do, which is pretty crazy. She is obviously a demon, so she gets more of the better traits there as well too. Her active, Janna controls the spikes within range to attack enemies, dealing 84% magic damage to a single enemy, and grants a shield equal to 250% of her attack to 3 allies with the lowest HP. That's right, so she's not only giving a lot of damage out to all enemies, but she's also giving the 3 allies with the lowest HP a shield, adding an extra layer of protectiveness and survivability to this already crazy survival team, okay? This is the crazy one though. Void Shackles, which is a passive, at the start of each round summons a stranger, that's essentially an add, into an empty allied slot. So whenever somebody dies, there'll be an empty slot. She summons a stranger who has 50% of her stats, doesn't attack, but after 2 rounds, these strangers will actually blow up and detonate and deal equal damage equal to 2 times of Janna's ultimate skills, and there's a 50% chance to apply stun on all enemies for 2 turns. She can summon up to 8 strangers in total. That is nuts. That is absolutely crazy. And her second passive, when any unit on the battlefield dies, Janna increases her attack by 50% up to 20 stacks. What in the hell? If I could give her a tier higher, she would absolutely get a tier higher. So you guys can see here the uniqueness of this team, but also the power of this team. And not to mention, their synergy is crazy. So at level like a level 3 units at the same time, grants the allied team a 60% chance to be revived one time per battle, restoring 30% of their max HP upon revival. When you get up to 5, grants the allied team a 100% chance to be revived one time per battle, restoring 60% of their max HP, and then on top of that, increasing damage boost of revived unit by 250% for 3 rounds. Let me tell you guys now, I am absolutely working on this team. I think they're broken as hell and probably going to be the best team in this game, in my opinion. As soon as more content comes out, I just look at this. They're all sitting where they belong, and yeah, I think it's well deserved. Anyways, let me know in the comment sections if you are running an Avengers team. I'm curious to see what your experience is like and how you feel about these units. But guys, they're hard to build. They take long to build. But if you're playing this for the long run, the Avenger team is going to be a juggernaut to deal with. All right, guys, this is Payne. Hope you enjoyed the video. I'll talk to you guys in the next one.